Sure, this is a great time now, said Sister Joy to the sisters when she said, isn't it lovely that Mrs. Doyle was able to make her peace, but it was just unfortunate that it was that queer fella, Father Ted. So they're all sat round in the little snug in the village pub, the Ship, and they're having a great bit of banter, and some of the locals come up and say, oh, sisters, are you celebrating something nice? Well, of course we are. Mrs. Doyle is becoming a novice tomorrow. Get away. She's actually made the grade. She has. And anyway, we don't have a passing out parade. She's starting a new life tomorrow. She's put her past behind her and she's looking forward to it. Isn't that right, Mrs. Doyle? Sure, Jesus, I've been waiting for this moment for years. I can't tell you how long. Oh, sure, Lord save us. Oh, God, what have I done now? So she looked down at her stockings and she lathered them in the excitement of being received tomorrow. And she'll take the new name. So the landlord said to her, what name is that? Oh, I'm going to be known as Sister Marguerite of the Five Most Precious Wounds. He said, I've never heard anything like it. Sister Margarita of the Five Most Precious Wounds. Well, she said, it's a Catholic thing, and I've always had a love of the passion of Jesus. He said, I don't know this fella Jesus, because I'm a pagan. And she went, what? A pagan? How could you be a pagan? Sure, look what God's provided for you. He says to her, the only thing he's provided for me, if he exists, is sweat and tears in this blessed recession. Anyway, she said, what's the favourite on the menu today? Well, ham shank on a bed of mushy peas. She said, that's my favourite, but the only thing is, it's very windy. It makes you very windy. She said, I think I'll have that. It'll remind me of home. So the others all ordered, and of course Sister Fee said, well, I'm a diabetic. I can only have things that are sugar-free. So he said, I've got the very thing for you, sister. Bangers and mash. Oh, she said, lovely. An onion gravy. Oh, God, beautiful. Cascading over the mash. Beautiful. But Sister Polly said, well, I'm calorie counting. You're never. With a figure like that? Not in a month of Sundays. Sure, you've got a beautiful figure. So she smiled and she said, right then, I'm going for the cod fish and chips and mushy peas. I shouldn't really, but I will do, now that you've passed me such a lovely compliment. And of course, Sister Julie, not wanting to be outdone, she said, well, I'm going to be awkward. I'm going for the tagliatelle, because we don't get it on the island, except pre-packed. So then, of course, that leaves little Sue from Blackpool, and she said, well, I'm quite happy with a meat pie and a few spuds. No, you're not, sister. You're going to have something nice. Well, I fancy that rump steak. I haven't had a bit of rump in years. Oh, and it's lovely with sauteed mushrooms and onions. The only thing is, it'll give you dreadful heartburn. And you've got a hiatus hernia. Well, I think that's what you said you've got. No, she said, I haven't got a hiatus hernia. I've got gallbladder trouble. Well, then you need to get him to put out the fat. Okay. And in comes Elsie. She's come to join the gang with Jean. Of course, she's Aunt Mother Olivia. They've come in to join us, so the landlord brings an extra few tables, and it's lovely, great crack. And we're all sat together having a great old chinwag. And they've come really to pass their condolences to me for giving up the good life and coming one of them. But they were all smiling, of course. So Mrs. Doyle lifted her glass of water and she said, cheers, everybody. Thanks for making my last 6 months hell on earth. Wink. And they all looked at her as much as to say, but we've had nothing to do with you for 6 months. It's been him. Yes, I know. And said Sister Olivia, she said, tell me what happened in the confessional. It's gone all round the village that it was Father Ted. Jesus, if I'd have known that, I'd have got his autograph. She'd why? She'd, oh, we love him on the television. And you're a hoot yourself. With go on, go on. And she said, do you remember that time when you were putting up the Christmas decorations, Mrs. Doyle? And you were so excited that you missed your footing and you fell through the window. She said, I remember it well. I fractured me pelvis. Oh, you never did. Well, anyway, they cut the banter short. They had a lovely meal. Fabulous meal. And then it came to paying the bill. Well, of course, Sister Joy, being woman in charge of all of us, she looked at the young, she said, do you think you could do discount as we're nuns, you know? We live on the bread line as Franciscans. He said, go on, go on. She said, don't you say that, that's my catchphrase. She said, well, go on, go on, go on. So he waved the bill and he said, this is from Mrs. Doyle, because I loved her on the telly. And it's a shame, now that she's joined a new lot, I won't see her anymore. And her replacement is dreadful. She's a floozy from Dublin. Oh, she's dreadful. I believe she's got a huge family, and she's not even married. Oh, my God, she's at least I was a virgin. So Sister Julie butts in, you were a what? Jesus, they're rare as hen's teeth. Well, anyway, they all get back to Chapel Gap, and they're all preparing for the ceremony on the Sunday, and there's great crack. I'm choosing the singing and the readings, and then, of course, I come for me fitting for the habit. Oh, yes, she said, I looked lovely in the blue. The only thing was, it didn't make any allowances for me bust. Because, of course, with age, it had dropped. Anyway, Brother Sean got the needle and thread out, and he made a few alterations. And sure didn't it look lovely. But Sister Joy said, excuse me, sister, when you come into our community, you're not here to show off your waistline and your physique. You're here as a servant in service. Of course, Sister Joy, I'll remember that when I'm not putting on me silk stockings in the morning. What do you mean, silk stockings? Oh, I thought I would wear the best under my habit. We don't do silk stockings, sister. We do bare feet. Okay then, sister. Anyway, they had a great chat and a big hug together. And Mrs. Doyle thanked all the sisters for coming and making such a special surprise for her. Especially Sister Polly coming all the way from Spain with Iris. Iris being her cat, of course. But of course, the shenanigans didn't end there. No. Sister Fee's cat, Seth, and Polly's cat, Iris, were up to no good behind the settee because we could hear them pouring. And when we pulled back the settee, there was the two of them, laying each other's arms. Oh, sure, it was a picture. Not for sore eyes, but it was such a lovely picture to see two animals together. Two strangers, I might add. But then, of course, Elsie being Elsie, she couldn't leave her 6 cats at home, so she brings them as well. So there's a great regrouping of cats. But of course, Brother Rob's allergic to cats, and he's sneezing his little heart out. But however, the day was planned, it was all set, and the forecast was supposed to be beautiful. So Sister Joy said, I think we should celebrate it on the lawn by the water feature. Be beautiful, connect with all the lovely energies. She said, yes, as long as that Father Ted fella's gone back to Ireland. But anyway, she said, let's rise early in the morning, we'll do prayers together. We'll have a nice hearty breakfast, and then we'll have the ceremony. How does that resonate with your heart, girls? Beautiful, said Mrs. Doyle. Well, anyway, morning came, beautiful day. Mrs. Doyle had the fitting, she tried everything on, beautiful, then she had to take it off again, because it has to be put on in the ceremony. So she thought she'd wear her best Sunday best, that she's had for about 40 years, slightly frayed round the edges, mind you. But breakfast came and went, pots washed and dried, table set for a wedding breakfast, well, of sorts. And everybody was gathered in the garden. And Sister Joy said, where's the celebrant? He's not arrived. So they all looked at one another and said, oh, we can't proceed without the celebrant to welcome Mrs. Duffy into the community, along with Sister Fee and Sister Polly and Sister Julie, and of course that Mary one from Dublin, Mary Kelly, who's still not arrived. Oh, and a taxi pulled up outside. It was the Mary Kelly one. She was delayed on Ryanair. She came at last, looking the best, I might add. Stunk to high heavens of Estée Lauder. Why she wears that I don't know, but however, another car pulled up. And you're going to die a death. It was the Father Ted fella, with Father Jack. They'd come to give me away. I nearly dropped dead. Jesus. Anyway, the ceremony went well. Me heart was in me mouth. And then Father Ted had an announcement to make. At the end of it, everybody's hugging one another, and Sister Joy said, "Oh, Father Ted, you said you had an important announcement to make." He said, "I did. I wanted to save the best to last, like Jesus said. He always saved the best wine till last. Well, I've saved a cracker for all of you. I filled in my application form, and I'm joining the Teo community." There you have it. So how does that resonate with you, Mrs. Doyle? Well, she dropped dead. No, not literally. She was lying down. She had to be recovered by Sister Fee and the smelling salts. And she got up and she was drunk with exhaustion. And she said, "Will you repeat that again to me?" "Mrs. Doyle, I've decided to become a member of the Teo community myself. If I can't have you, I'll join you.